that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, just the other day on the show, somebody wrote in and asked, hey, what do you think is more likely, like Tom Cruise doing another Top Gun film, or another Mission Impossible film after this one? And I said Top Gun, even though I don't really think they're going to do one. They keep talking about, but I don't really think they're going to do one. Well, Tom Cruise would beg to differ, because there's a new story out there today with an interview with Tom Cruise where he's talking about not only is he currently developing the next Top Gun film, Top Gun 3, whatever that's going to be called, Mavericking again, Maverick Harder. But apparently he's also talking about doing a Days of Thunder sequel. Anyway, this is what's reported over at CBR. It says, acclaimed actor Tom Cruise offers an encouraging progress report about the long-announced Top Gun 3, as it appears the action threequel will eventually take flight. However, the next Top Gun installment isn't the only sequel Cruise has in the works, hinting at his cult classic sports drama, Days of Thunder, getting the follow-up treatment too. Speaking with Australia's Today, Cruise claimed that the third Top Gun film and a second Days of Thunder film are among the new projects he's recently discussed making. Yeah, he said, we're making and talking about many different stories and what we could do with what's possible, Cruise said. It took me 35 years to figure out Top Gun Maverick, so all these things we're working on, we're discussing sequels to Days of Thunder and Top Gun Maverick. There's numerous other films we're actively working on right now. I'm always shooting a film, prepping a film, posting a film. I just finished a film with Alejandro Inarritu, too, who did The Reverend. That was an extraordinary experience. And Christopher McQuarrie, or McHugh as he calls him, and I are always working on several different films. All right. With the Top Gun Maverick, I mean, listen, I still don't think it's going to happen. Like, I'll just go on the record right now and say, I don't, as a fan, just guessing, my guess is that film still won't happen, but you can understand why they'd like it to happen. And you can understand the push to do another one. Because, I mean, the last one made, what was it, Ray? Like, Top Gun Maverick was like 1.3 billion? I'm going to guess off the top of my head. 1.5 billion dollars. When you make a movie in Hollywood that makes $1.5 billion, you do another one, regardless of how good or bad of an idea it is. So I can understand that. That's why when somebody asked me the other day, more likely another Mission Impossible after this or Top Gun, I would say Top Gun. So that makes a lot of sense. I need to reemphasize this, even though it doesn't feel like it, even though it doesn't necessarily look like it, Tom Cruise is now in his 60s. He's 62, 63, something
he's
along
those. He's
those.
going to be 63 in July.
63 in July. So he's coming up on his birthday. I mean, like he says in that interview, he's always shooting a film. He's always shooting or prepping or doing post work on a film. Like, he's just always on the go. And how much longer can he do these types of films? I don't know. But the one that really intrigues me, and maybe even, Rob, the phrase confuses me, is another Days of Thunder film. I don't know who's asking for another Days of Thunder. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Days of Thunder hater. I like the film. I don't think it's particularly one of Tom Cruise's best films. But in an era right now when we're about to get F1, like, is that why he's working on one of those? And don't forget, Rob, he's got that outer space movie that he's supposedly going to be shooting in outer space. He's got this Inarritu movie that he's got going on. He's mentioned like 2 or 3 others. I mean, literally, I don't think he's going to even get around to a Top Gun 3 till he's 66 or 67 years old. And then I keep wanting to say Tropic Thunder. Days of Thunder? Is that what it called? What did it call again?
Days of Thunder. But I would love to see the Les Grossman character come back. If he's going to make it.
That's the one I want.
That's the one I would love to see, that Les Grossman movie.
I want that over Top Gun 3. There's not a single Tom Cruise movie I want more than that Les Grossman movie. He keeps saying he's going to do it. He keeps saying they're talking about it. I mean, that's the one I want. And it doesn't matter if he's 65, 66, 67 when he does that. That's perfectly fine. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. What a great time to be a sports fan. Basketball playoffs are on. Hockey playoffs are on. It is the perfect time to jump into the action with PrizePicks, the easiest and most fun way to turn your sports knowledge into real winnings. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made really simple. Just pick more or less on a few player projections, like points, assists, goals, and you can win up to 2,000 times your money. For example, this week I've got Jalen Brunson for more than 24.5 points, or Jason Tatum for more than 6.5 rebounds. I love how fast and easy it is to lock in a lineup in just under a minute. Plus, they've got a couple of weekly features, like, for example, Flex Friday. If your lineup doesn't win, you get your net losses back in promo funds. And every Tuesday, check out Taco Tuesday for discounted player projections up to 25% off. So download the app today and use the code Campea to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Campea to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game.
Anyway, Rob, you hear about this. He says he's still developing Top Gun 3, but that he's also looking at doing another Days of Thunder. What do you make of this?
Well, I mean, obviously with the success of Top Gun Maverick, I mean, everyone liked that movie. That movie is so much fun to watch. And it really worked. I don't think anyone expected a Top Gun sequel, 35 years after the fact, to be as successful or as entertaining as it was, but it really was. They really knocked it out of the park. So it makes sense to me that they would want to be doing something like that. And Days of Thunder, Robert Duvall's 94 years old today, or not today, but now, right, this year. And I keep thinking, are they going to bring him back too? 94-year-old Robert Duvall, Rubbin's racing. And I just don't. Do we need another Days of Thunder? I would love to see, Tom Cruise, A Few Good Men, Born on the 4th of July, Jerry Maguire, Night and Day, even American Made. I want to see him go back to playing characters again. Not just, Ethan Hunt's kind of a Superman. He's a great actor, and I really like him, whether it's he's kind of a romantic lead in Jerry Maguire. I love Jerry Maguire. I'd like to see that Tom Cruise come back. I understand leaning into the business of it all, but I think Tom Cruise is selling himself short if he doesn't go back. Like American Made, that Doug Liman also directed. He's supposed to do the space movie. I thought he was terrific in that film. And again, he was playing based on a real character, and I love his character work. And that's why I think he would kill it as Les Grossman. I'm much more interested to see Tom Cruise come back and start playing quote unquote real people. That's what I hope he would do.
I completely agree, because I think he's a multi-time Academy Award nominated actor.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm thinking his thought process is. I'm thinking his thought process is kind of like Liam Neeson, because remember, Liam Neeson recently talked about, I remember it was about 2 or 3 years ago, he was doing this interview and they were talking about like all these action films that he's doing, right? And Liam Neeson mentioned, listen, I know I only have a couple of years left that I can do these kinds of films. Because right. He said, I'm at the upper limit of it right now. So I've only got a couple. So all these other types of roles, I feel like I've got a lot of time I can do those. But if I'm going to do these kinds of movies, I either do them now or I'm not ever going to get to do them again. Because this is my final kind of window to do these movies, and then I can go do all these other types of projects that I want to do later. I wonder if part of Tom Cruise's thinking right now is, listen, I'm always going to have these other roles. I'm always going to have these better character roles, maybe even some thrillers. What's the big legal one again he did with Wilford Brimley?
The Firm.
The Firm, right. I
love that. John Grisham adaptation with Gene
great.
Hackman and Gene Triplethorne. I love that movie.
I can always go back and do roles like The Firm, Born on the 4th of July, stuff like that. But I'm a hot action star right now. I'm near the finish line for the window I have to do these kinds of films. And maybe he's thinking, I got to do these now because I can do those other ones later. Do you think that's his thought process? And if so, do you think that makes sense?
I think that's absolutely part of it. And, he's known as, when you're being called the last movie star, there's even a documentary to that effect out about his career. I can totally understand that. And, he's staying bankable, and he kind of, especially post-COVID, has been the biggest champion of the theatrical experience.
Yes, he has.
You know, he stood on ceremony and did not allow Top Gun to be released anywhere but in theaters. And they kept it in theaters for a long time. It made all of that money. And they delivered an experience that you couldn't have ever got on TV. And I think Joe Kosinski, who directed that movie, brought that same. He brought Tom Cruise's philosophy into F1. My friend who's seen F1 said it's absolutely spectacular, and they used some of the same filming techniques they used on Top Gun Maverick inside those F1 cars. And I think that's what Tom Cruise is really, what he's really interested in doing is preserving that theatrical experience in grand fashion.
Yeah.
And I can't fault him for that. And I think part of the reason he's thinking about Days of Thunder and Top Gun is because, one, they're safe in terms of their known IPs.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he gets to provide audiences with that great theatrical experience that he's been known to give. I mean, him and James Cameron with the Avatar films, and Cameron pushing the limits of 3D, HFR 3D. I really love that they're doing that. And I would not fault Tom Cruise for that, but I would love it. But like you said, I mean, if you think about it, in 7 years, he's going to be 70.
Yeah. It's kind of, it's crazy to think about it, right?
I mean, I still think of Tom Cruise in Risky Business.
Risky Business sliding into the room. Yeah.
Playing Soda Pop in The Outsiders in 1982. I mean, it's crazy that he's got this youthful vigor to him. More power to him, man. I mean, look, whatever he's doing, I mean, I know Mission Impossible has some mixed reviews, but I know that I'm going to thoroughly enjoy myself while I'm sitting in that theater. And that's sometimes enough.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Tom Cruise is saying, amongst all the other projects that they've already had announced, including his one in outer space and whatnot, he says they are indeed developing a Top Gun 3 and a Days of Thunder sequel, hot on the heels of F1. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think these will all actually happen? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.